Hey everybody, it's Night Rain, also known as Pucky and Tumblr. For today's Speedpaint, I'll be drawing my OC, in which this specific OC is actually a starter Pokemon that I chose in Pokemon Ultra Moon. And fun fact, he's actually fully evolved right now, or by the time that I'm playing it. And I'm still not done with the story yet, but I'll be, in this case, I'm drawing him when he was still an itty bitty Litten. Anyway, from the title that I'll be putting in this video, his name is Tigre, from what you may know. He's about like at this time, I may like put up like a story of like maybe how he met his trainer. It'll definitely be different from the game, obviously. I don't know if I'll actually put it to somewhat like a comic or written story or whatever, but because I'm still even working on it if that's even going to be official myself. And by the time that the video even comes out, I'm probably still in the middle of sketching out of what his trainer even looks like before I even go to the story. Anyways, back to Tigre. He's obviously a Litten from the title that I will be putting. His nature is hasty, and his characteristics is alert to sounds. Sounds like a typical starter that I would get from what I remember my first playthrough of like my first Pokemon game, which is actually Pokemon Platinum or Pearl from what I remember. Anyways, he's back since we're talking about Tigre of like his Kajinka life. I imagine that he lives with his, well, for obviously he's a kid, so he has a mom. And in case that you may wonder, wait, what happened to his dad? I actually have no idea. I don't even know what kind of Pokemon is even his dad. And maybe like a Zoroark, because like every time I look at Tigre now after I finish this, I keep thinking of a Zoroark. But whether that is the case, maybe he won't. Maybe a Ditto. I don't know. But anyway, but back to topic. He lives with his mom. I doubt that he has any siblings, maybe cousins. And he he definitely is friends with the other two starters, the Rowlet and the Popillo. And from what I could think about now, they probably grew up in some sort of like village. I don't know how like my version of Kajinkas, or at least the world of Kajinkas, would work with like the, normal humans, and how like the trainer and Pokemon thing works, because, you know. Anyways, he's another, since I'm talking about Tigre, and that's about it that I could think of for his background at the moment. I'll be sure to like upload more speed paints of his other two forms, the Tortercat and the what he currently is now, the Insidior. Insidior. It's really hard to say that word out loud now that I think about it. Anyway, his design, and speaking of which, I keep struggling with his boot on the right, or technically left boot from this angle, that I keep fixing it, spoiler alert on this speed paint, because it didn't look right to me. Anyways, for his design, I wanted to incorporate his design to at least reference the Litten, but I tried to put like the tail. I didn't actually mean it to like, for that part I actually wanted to put his belt, but instead of a belt it would be like some sort of fakeish belt. that he just wrapped around to look like a belt, and the tail part over there. See, I I erased it, as I mentioned, because I didn't think it would fit. I wanted this tail to be a belt of rope, and that end would look like the end of a broken rope. But I decided to scrap that because it didn't look right. And for here, I decided to have him like wear gloves. And before you ask, he's a fire type. Why would he need gloves? Because he really wanted to imitate the wrestlers that he would see usually in TV, and got inspired by them, and also like boxing gloves in a sense. So I don't think they'd be rubber, but maybe sometimes I would think that he would have trouble controlling his fire power and accidentally hurt people. I don't know if that would be like a case, but if I'm talking about like a kid here, I would think that a kid with magic would probably, in a sense, realistically, or at least how I envision it, they would have a tough time like controlling it, especially if they're like, "Ooh, I have magic," and yeah, they would get like a bit too excited, like how usually you would think, you know, like those dumb stuff you did it as a kid because you thought it would be cool, like, you know, like, remember like those combs, that those combs, the ones that you would clip on combs, and then you would put it to like a part of your body just to see what it looked. It's like that, but imagine that with a kid like learning they have, oh, I have the fire power of like fire in this case, and they accidentally burn like some part of the forest or something because they don't know how to properly use it and whatnot. Anyway, um, for the and actually another part of this which I'm actually pretty proud of is like his scarf that I would be coloring in a little later. It's actually like the color of like the Litten's the face, the markings on his face, which I thought it's pretty cool that I kind of imitate like the ends of the scarf to look like the quote unquote whiskers. No, wait, those are definitely whiskers. It's a cat. What am I talking about? Anyways, it's supposed to imitate, so when he puts like the scarf over his face, it would not only look like he's imitating like a wrestling mask of some sort. I know it doesn't, but you know what I mean. But it would not only like imitate like the Litten's like the wrestler's mask of a sort, or at least a very discount one of a sense, but it would also like tie back to like the Litten's like his Litten markings on his face when he puts it up over the lower half of his face whenever he goes fights. Yes, I would imagine him doing that in like one of the in battle, so he would look like, I'm gonna beat you up with like tiny ember while I'm looking like somewhat of a like one of those pro wrestlers on TV, even though definitely by this he doesn't know any fighting moves yet. At least I don't remember like using him and having like fighting any fighting moves at this age. Maybe rock smash, but but whether I remember or not, you get what I mean. So he's like a very energetic little guy, and yet, and he is baby. Well, at least like at this time. I mean, he's still baby now, but you get what I mean. He will always be like whatever form he's in. He's still like a little, the still little buchalacha. And before, and also fun fact, the reason why that I actually named him Tigre, other than it sounds like tiger, and the evolution line reminds me of a tiger. It's because like he reminded me of like one of those of one of the shows that I've watched as a kid called El Tigre. If any of you guys like remember that show as a kid, please comment down below just to see like I'm just kind of curious in how many people would remember like watching that as a kid too. Although like from what I researched like before I did the speed paint, it reminds people too much of Mucha Lancha, which I guess I could see why, although the style is slightly different, or at least in my opinion it is. Anyway, that's one of the reasons why I named him Tigre, and also because of the El Tigre reference that I pointed out. Um, he also lives in like a Spanish household where his like mom is definitely the kind of mom that would be like be one of those kinds of moms who would discipline the children with the chancla or the slipper. Also, I'll be sure to put out like the first sketchbook, or at least the first sketch of him that I did before doing the speed paint of him and some ideas that I had, like how I imagined that his little scarf would reminisce of the Litten markings, and also possibly like one of his teammates that he met along the way before the current event of the story about now, and also a sketch of what his trainer may look like. I probably would change um, her design. Like I have an idea, but it's not a complete idea. If you get what I meant, what I mean, I mean. Anyway, if you like this video, then be sure to subscribe and also hit the notification bell, and be sure to also comment in case you like the video, and possibly even give me some art, have like any art tips that I could use to improve on my art, because I'm still like an artist who still needs like some critique along the way, and hopefully I'll be able to improve more in the future and fix like any uh, flaws in my art that you may have seen here that I wouldn't be able to recognize sooner. Anyway, hope you guys have like a good day wherever you are, and see ya!